retrofan.com.
It's 1995 and I'm 13-14 years old. I'm listening to The Band, the new album by Radiohead, but also the single by the Beatles, Free as a Bird, great one. Microsoft just released Windows 95 and we installed it with those 20 floppy disks that came with. I'm also a football fan. I support Fiorentina as my team, and those were the days for Italian football. If you experienced the football from the mid-80s to mid-2000, you already know the truth. The 90s were probably the sport's highest peak. Not just in terms of trophies and fame, but in pure raw talent, creativity, technique and personality. It was an era of impossible goals, brutal tackles and players who felt larger than life. Looking back, I did not realize how lucky I was in that regard. I grew up watching legends such as Maradona, Roberto Baggio, Van Basten, Gullit, Maldini, Batistuta, Ronaldo, the phenomenal one, Zidane, Totti, Del Piero, Zola, Buffon, and this is only scratching the surface. And yes, my football nostalgia is heavily Italian-centric, I'm biased since I'm Italian, but Serie A genuinely felt like the center of football universe back then. It was completely normal to see world-class talent arrive every season, and just as normal to see new stars rising to replace the older giants. But this football passion was not only lived in stadiums, it was lived at home as well, on CRT monitors, between floppy disks, and through long, very long loading screens that felt endless. And for me that word had a name: Championship Manager Italia-95. And Sensible Soccer, but that's another story for another time. But CM Italia-95 was not simply a game. It was a true extension of my football passion. I played it many times on DOS, sometimes even in multiplayer sessions with my brothers and friends, up to 4 players, which was simply incredible. We argued about tactics and transfers like we were running real clubs. And no matter what happened, my Fiorentina would never sell Gabriel Batistuta, not at any price. But let's start from the beginning. Championship Manager 1992. Before the series found its solid shape with Championship Manager 93, there was the very first Championship Manager that was released in 1992, developed by Paul and Oliver Collier brothers, who were operating as Intellect, and published by Domark. This original title laid down the basic framework of the franchise: team selection, tactics, transfers, and weekly progressions. It was still rudimentary compared with what would come later, but in CM92 many elements that now feel essential to the game were either missing or very basic. Real players' names weren't used, meaning that players appeared only as generic names rather than recognizable footballers. In CM92 you didn't have the possibility to arrange your friendly games, foreign players weren't available, the manager's salary wasn't there, as well as selecting a win bonus or penalty takers or the man of the match concept, all features that were introduced in CM93, a well-refined game in comparison. Still, its simulation-first philosophy and the introduction of average player ratings were very innovative seeds that Championship Manager 93 would move forward and into a deeper and more compelling managing experience, helping the series to grow into a well-defined franchise of the genre. Championship Manager 93 was released, you guessed, in 1993, a year after the original 1992 game. A game developed by Intellect, the Collier brothers, and published by Domark. The game was available on the Amiga as well as Microsoft DOS and Atari ST. A little trivia, the code base was rewritten from BASIC to C for this edition, improving the performance and the loading times. Championship Manager 93 introduced several groundbreaking features for the time. For the first time, the game included a database of real-life players, eliminating those fake-generated names of the previous game. The game engine also improved the commentary, so richer textual play-by-play, and even added injury time after 90 minutes. Small touches that added realism and depth to the game. And you know that scoring a goal during the injury time is always a great feeling. Managers could now scout and sign from a list of selected foreign and home-based players, a feature that broadened the talent pool beyond the domestic league, even if the list at this point wasn't very exhaustive, and in the Italian version it was much better. The interface and the presentation of the graphic also improved quite a bit, much more polished, with also different background pictures that the player could choose from, improved loading times, and a much smoother experience overall. The game also tracked more players' awards and implemented the newly formed at the time Premier League structure, reflecting a real-world change in English football hierarchy. Indeed, the Championship Manager had, apart from the new Premier League, the Championship, League 1, League 2. Basically, Championship Manager 93 delivered an unprecedented level of realism for football management simulators of the era. The game was also very successful, selling for the Amiga platform around 90,000 copies from the 93, 94 and following foreign versions, such as the Italian one. Very strong number for the early 90s computer market. And even today, many players have fond memories, like myself, for this minimalist presentation and user interface, no music, minimal graphic, but being very effective, even if it's text-based, conveying the drama of managing a team, a football team. It was very deep in its simulation, but well-balanced and easy enough to pick it up and start playing straight away. And it was also a reflection of the time, the fact that you could use real names of football players without any licensing. It was still a gray area, but definitely this addiction contributed to the success of the game. So this is the version where Championship Manager started being the game that we all remember and love. Now let's watch a match. I picked the Chelsea. Now there's a friendly match against the Dinamo. I bought Christian Vieri and Antonio Conte from Italy, starting a few years earlier what would be the Italian ingredients in the Chelsea of Vialli and Zola. As you can see, this is the interface of the match. It's very simple, states what kind of match it is. In this case, it's a friendly from Stamford Bridge. First half. Here you can see how the games basically tells you what's going on. First half is gone, you get the rating on the match stats, useful also if you want to change players on the go. For instance, here I'm swapping Sinclair. And you have these three bars that tells you how the team is doing in defense, midfield and attack. Vieri, and he scored. It was disallowed because there was a foul. Great, I lost a player now, sent off, so I needed to adjust the formation. Here it is. And now let's start again. It's going to be difficult now that we are playing in 10. Goal! Again disallowed, it doesn't happen that often. For offside this time, so 2 goals disallowed. one player sent off. Oh, 1 second. Goal. Injury time. We won the match. See how engaging it can be with just some bars and textual indications of what's going on. You don't need to see the match, you just need a good story and a compelling way of telling it. Championship Manager 94 from 1994. It's essentially a data disk expansion or enhanced re-release for CM93. It's often referred as End of Season 94, and it was available on the Amiga as an add-on on the CM93 engine. This expansion could be obtained in two ways: as a standalone end-of-season edition, so a full game package including the updated data, or as an upgrade disc for CM93 owners, like me in this case. Rather than introducing a major new gameplay mechanics, CM94 focus was on up-to-date content and some fine-tuning. The expansion updated every club's rosters, transfers, promotions, relegations, and some other changes to reflect the new season, basically. Under the hood, CM94 also acted as a patch to the original game. Some bugs and minor improvements were made, but the fundamental gameplay and text match engine did not change almost at all. Apparently, some versions of Championship Manager 94 include an Easter egg that since then became legend: the presence of two fictional players in the database, Mark Collins, a striker, and Fera Orozco, a defender. They both appear also as credited developers of the game, but in some copies they appear also in the Cambridge United team in Division 3, and they both have high stats and skills, and if you could sign them, they could become world-class players. I didn't find them in my copy of CM94, so I'm not sure if it was a crack or if it was some earlier copies of the game or later copies, I don't know, but they appear online in different sources, but I couldn't find them. If you know or remember more details, let me know in the comment. After Championship Manager 93 and the 94 that not only updated the database but also refined even further the original formula, it was only a matter of time before the series expanded into something more tailored for specific football cultures. And in the early 90s, no country demanded that treatment more than Italy. Then, Championship Manager Italia from 1993 was essentially the first step in bringing the CM obsession into a Serie A and Serie B focused universe, built for a market where football wasn't just popular, it was a religion. This edition captured the uniquely Italian atmosphere of the time, historic clubs, and a league packed with world-class talent. It was still rooted in the same simple Championship Manager engine, but the shift in focus was important because it made the game feel closer to home for the Italian fans, like me. More than just a spin-off, CM Italia 93 was the bridge between the UK-born Championship Manager concept and the fully Italianized experience that would soon reach its most popular form with the Championship Manager Italia 95. Overall, CM Italia 93 and CM Italia 95 are very similar games. The user interface, the gameplay is mostly the same. For a football fan, it's great to play both versions because you can enjoy different databases of football players and teams. For example, Maradona is still available in 1993 and I bought him for my Fiorentina team, that at the time was in Serie B, to be promoted in Serie A and win the league together with Gabriel Batistuta. I can't do that in Italia 95. Okay, and this was the long intro to the game that shaped my youth as a football fan supporting Fiorentina, Championship Manager Italia 95. You guessed it again, from 1995. It was an update from Championship Manager Italia 93, brought the Italian database and rules up to the 95, ensuring fans of Serie A and B had the latest teams and rules. It is built on the same engine from 93 and 94, so it shares the look, the feel, the core mechanics of the original English game. It was released on Amiga and for DOS. It's still in English and not in Italian because it was aimed partially also at the British European market, fascinated by the Serie A's glamour at the time. While the interface and the engine in CM Italia 95 were 90% basically identical to the standard Championship Manager 93 and 94, the content and some gameplay rules were tailored to the Italian football. You could manage clubs in Italy's top division, Serie A, or second division, Serie B, unlike the English CM, which had 4 divisions. So, sadly, in the Italian version, no Serie C. The developers implemented the distinctive rules and regulation of Italian leagues. For example, Italy in the mid-90s had a limited number of foreign players allowed per team, where commonly a club could field no more than 3 non-Italian players at the same time. CM Italia 95 mirrored this, where you had to restrict basically the foreign players assigning and match day squad selection. It's an interesting limitation because obviously you need to limit the purchase of potentially great players, international players, and keep the team Italian as much as possible. Additionally, the Italian transfer system at the time operated on defined windows, so there's a summer and a shorter mid-season windows, rather than the England's year-round transfer market. So CM Italia introduced these restrictive transfer window mechanics. You couldn't buy or sell players freely for all the season. The game's database was filled with the real teams, player names and club information for Italy, from giants like Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, down to the smaller teams in Serie B. All were represented with accurate stats and players. Also, the background images in the menu were updated to the Italian teams. There's a lot of Fiorentina in there. Also, the name of the competitions like Coppa Italia and Serie A were all named appropriately. Besides Italy, they even made a Norway-specific edition, CM Norge, around the same time. But commercially, CM Italia contributed a lot to the strong sales of the franchise early years. Championship Manager Italia 95 was produced with the help of Italian football experts for the data research, ensuring Italian player stats and details were accurate as possible. Over the years I found a few mistakes in some of the names of some players, but it's really truly impressive because there are a lot of players, also many players from Serie C. They are here, you can buy them in the other markets together with the foreign players. And it's quite impressive the work that was done to localize very accurately all that amount of data. I also have some confessions to make in terms of cheats for the game. They are not so secret and I think they were well used because of course no discussion would be complete without mentioning these little tricks that eventually every player discovered and shamelessly used. The most famous or infamous was the legendary 3-3-1-3 formation. It's a tactical setup that, for reasons that I ignore, could turn an average team into an unstoppable machine, often delivering ridiculous winning streaks and a success rate that felt close to 95%. Matches with the foreign teams still felt unbalanced even with this formation, because the AI is very biased towards the foreign teams. But these tactics were only half of the story. Like many players back then, I also learned to game the system during the initial team selection. So instead of picking only my club, I would select 3 additional top teams just to assess their squads and use them as a transferred playground. It became the perfect way to offload a lot of unwanted players and buy great ones at suspiciously friendly prices, almost like a football black market. It wasn't exactly fair, I know, but the game itself almost pushed you in that direction. Transfer windows were really short and limited in CM Italia 95, and squad size restrictions were strict. Perhaps most frustrating of all, selling players felt painfully difficult. The transfer market in CM Italia 95 was brief, shallow, and strangely quiet. Player movement was low, offers were rare, and building a dream team could take forever. In the end, these cheats became part of the experience, not just shortcuts but survival tools in a game that often felt as unforgiving as real football. I discovered the formation cheat later on the internet. I wasn't aware of that back in the day, but I used the 4-player cheat, a lot back in the day. In conclusion, looking back today, it is almost hard to explain how powerful these games felt. Championship Manager was not flashy, it had no cinematic cutscenes, no 3D stadium, no player faces, not even proper animation or watching the match. The matches were 3 bars going up and down, with predefined sentences to tell you what was going on. And yet, it was one of the most immersive football experiences you could possibly have. Because the real match was never on the screen, it was always happening in your head. From the early simplicity of CM92 to the more refined CM93 and 94 updates, and finally to the Italian-focused universe of CM Italia 95, the series captured something that modern games sometimes struggle to recreate: imagination, patience, and passion. It was football reduced to pure energy, pure decisions, pure dreams, and a simpler time, but also simpler mechanics. I don't need to manage the toilet flows of the stadiums, okay, I'm exaggerating in this example, like in the modern Football Manager's games. They are too complex, too granular. And maybe that is why Championship Manager Italia 95 still feels special today. It is not just a retro football game, it is a time capsule, a reminder of a golden era when Serie A was packed with legends, when every transfer rumors felt like a headline, and when a season could last weeks, not because the game demanded it, but because we wanted it to. For many of us, this was not simply a game. It was a ritual, a lifestyle, a second football life played late at night under the glow of a CRT monitor, saving on floppy disks, and convincing ourselves that yes, maybe this year Fiorentina could actually win the league. If not in reality, at least within Championship Manager, where anything was possible, as long as you believed in your tactics. If someone today remade this game with the same mechanics but with modern rules, for instance removing the limitations of the 3 foreign players, I would buy it, I would enjoy it, I would play it a lot. Simpler games made with the passion are the best. As usual, thanks for watching, and if you want to read the article about Championship Managers and all I talked about today on retrofair.com, you can read that and much more. Hope you enjoyed, consider subscribing, and see you next time.
retrofair.com